understanding what you're willing to, what you want to have and what you're willing to give up to make that car payment or lease payment for what you need. But it has to fit into your budget, and just don't get pressured to make a decision that isn't what you want. Feel free to just get up and walk out the door. You have that right. Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Paycheck. I'm Paula Christine. So today I have brought back my producer to ask me some listener questions because they were a little too chicken to get on screen, which I don't blame them, because they'd have to get a microphone and all that other stuff. So, and this is not fun having your face on the TV or on the TV, whatever screen. Okay, so welcome, Kevin.
Hello, Paula. It's deja vu.
Deja vu?
We did this a little while ago. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and fire off some questions your way.
Okay, so you are actually going to be Andy, who wanted to know the difference between buying and leasing.
Yes.
A car.
So let's pretend I'm Andy.
Andy's a girl, so can you talk in a girl's voice, please?
No, probably not. Let's pretend that this is maybe a more feminine voice than it is. I am in the market for a new vehicle.
Okay.
And there is a lot of talk on whether or not I should buy it. Maybe that means finance it, or I should lease it. What advice would you give to me to figure out what's the best decision?
Well, actually, I'm doing that right now because my lease is up in January. So I have to make the decision, am I going to buy or am I going to lease again? So I'm kind of going through that myself, trying to figure out what's best for me. And everybody's situation is different. But I'm looking at the fact that everybody knows I bought a home and I'm a little further away than I normally was before from my friends and from my office. And you have mileage when you have a lease that you have to be aware of. And I'm constantly looking at my mileage, which is kind of annoying, to make sure that I don't go over, because then I'm going to owe money. So that's one of the bad things about a lease, is that you have to worry about your mileage. But then I'm also thinking I think I'm going to get that new Ford Maverick. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Okay.
Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so
I don't know if
adorable.
I would call it cute. I'd probably call it, rugged, but cute too.
Remember,
Cute and rugged.
you're Andy the girl. So it's
cute.
Yeah,
no, it's super cute. Super cute. The cutest.
So I'm thinking about that because I would be able to maybe pull a jet ski or my kayaks or paddleboards if I want to go someplace else, which I can't do that in my lease vehicle because I can't add to it. I can't modify it. So that's another reason why I might consider owning versus leasing, because I might want to make modifications to the car, which you can't do with a lease. But then I go down to the lease payment is so much cheaper than buying the car. So it's a struggle to know what's the best option. So what do you do, Kevin? Do you lease or do you buy?
I actually lease.
You do?
Yeah, I lease. Yeah. The thought was, I don't drive a ton. I work from home. I don't drive a ton. I, in 3 years, might want to switch. I like having a newer vehicle with a new technology, and I'm also a business owner, so there is a piece of the credibility that comes with having a newer vehicle from a marketing perspective. And there are probably a ton of ways that I could do more writing off of the vehicle than I actually do. So there are probably also some tax purposes as well. So it's hard because I think there are some people that value vehicles and the newness at a different rate than other people do. Some people just want a car that's going to get them from point A to point B trustworthily. That's a word.
I don't think so, but we know what it means.
Yeah, right. Other people want to do it in style. So I think that's an important thing, because we were talking before about, I think a lot of it is circumstantial. The decision, I think, is circumstantial for a lot of people.
So I lease, this is my second lease vehicle, and I did it for the same exact reasons that you talked about. I was working a lot from home. I wanted the reliability of a new vehicle because of being a female. I didn't want, to be in a car that's 7 years old and worrying that if it breaks down and I'm on the road by myself. I didn't want to have to worry about that and the repairs. I mean, the maintenance of a new or lease vehicle is basically, if it's under 2 years, it's just oil changes. I mean, you don't have to
Do
even
they
look at
cover?
tires.
Do they cover yours? My all
Um,
my oil changes are covered.
yeah, my oil changes are in my lease payment. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
So,
that's
yeah,
good
so
too.
it's awesome. I mean, really, you just make the payment and you don't have to worry about it. I think if it breaks down, everything's under warranty. I have a lot of my female clients who lease because they want that reliability of the car. But then you
Mm.
have the other side of that is, yes, you have the reliability, you have a new car every year, but you're always making a car payment, always. Where when
Yeah.
you purchase something, eventually you're going to have it paid off. But, most people are financing their cars now for 7 years. And how much has that car depreciated is, if you got in an accident within the first couple of years, you're likely going to owe more money on the car than it's worth.
Yeah. I was very surprised at how cheap my insurance was for a relatively expensive car. I was very surprised. I don't know if it's because it's a lease.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. It just could be the
Mm.
car that you bought. Cars are rated differently. If it's a hot car where, the thieves are stealing it for one reason or the other, then,
Yeah.
if I think for a time being, I think like I don't even, they still make them, but I think like the Ford Escort was like one of the highest insurance
Interesting.
premiums because it was something that they were stealing off. It could be wrong. It could be a different Ford vehicle, but I know that it was a really high because of the theft.
Mm.
And plus you're getting older, so your insurance tends to go down a little bit more. I know since you're only, what,
Watch your
25,
watch. I
27?
was gonna say you better watch your words. You better watch you getting older. I'm 35 years old as of today.
Oh,
My
happy
birthday.
birthday.
No, sorry. As of today, but as of last month. But I'll take it. I appreciate it. When you were up for your lease and the lease was over and you had the opportunity to buy the car outright or switch to a new vehicle, what was your thought process? Was it anything more than we talked about today, or were there other things that you were thinking about?
Oh, yes, I bought it outright and had my daughter co-sign it, and now she owns it.
Mm.
Because this was 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago, and remember how it was hard to get cars, interest rates were so high, and honestly, the prices of cars are ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. When you can, like, somebody told me they just bought a truck, it was $80,000. I don't know about you, but I know I'm quite a bit older than you, but my first home was 30, my second home was 70, yet people are
Mm.
paying $80,000 for a car. I mean, and you
Yeah.
can't, I guess you could sleep in it. You can't cook or take a shower, but you could sleep in it.
Mm.
So that's what I looked at. I likely will do that for the next one. I'll see if one of my children would like to purchase it. Um, so I've taken a lot of that depreciation off of it, and then they'll get a good car, low miles, at a really good price.
Mm.
But let's talk about leasing for a second. Did you put a down payment down?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't
that's a
know what I was
no-no.
doing.
That's a
Yeah, no,
no-no.
I think I probably got swept under the rug with what was happening, but yeah, I put a down payment down.
Well, the difference is that when you put a down payment down, you just have a lower payment. Same thing with your car. The
Yeah.
more you put down, the lower your payment. So, but if your payment would increase, but I always say don't put a down payment, just pay the higher, keep the
Mm.
money and just pay the higher payment.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing.
It's okay. I
The,
didn't know either until someone explained it to me.
right? Well, the thing that got me was I didn't realize how, and you might know the number far better than I do, but when I see the commercial and it says this new vehicle, the lease it's $499 a month. On the bottom of the screen, that is like when you have perfect credit and it's like 1% of people. I wasn't there, so I didn't realize how different the number was going to change after we started talking about actually doing it. So in my mind, it was get the price as low as possible because it's already $250 more a month than I wanted to spend. So I got shysted that way.
Well, I don't know that you're shysted. It's just that you would have paid it one way or the other. So either you're going to pay it monthly or you're going to pay it up front. But I've had some friends that have passed away, and one friend passed away just like 2 months after purchasing her lease vehicle.
Mm,
So you just turn it in. Basically, you know, when that person passes away, you just turn it in. And had she not put that money down, she would have still had that money in her estate
yeah.
versus, so the winner here was the car company because she didn't get reimbursed, or the estate
Right,
didn't
right.
get reimbursed for the money that she put down.
What's the other any other does it ever make sense to put the money down?
I don't think so. I don't think on a
Okay.
lease vehicle, I don't think so. On a new vehicle, lots of times you have to just because you're trying to get that expensive car down into your price range.
When do you advise someone, cuz for me, I'm usually looking at the monthly payment and how does that fit into everything else within the business? Are you when you go, are you thinking, okay, the car is X amount, I will not go through with any purchasing decisions if the monthly payment is above X amount? Like where how do you work through all that in advance?
I do the same thing. I only have in my budget, I have a number for a car payment, and I'm not going above that. I'm just
Okay.
not. So if that car doesn't meet that, I don't want to spread it out over 7 years because I think, but that's the way a lot of people can afford to buy a car. But I'll start looking for a different type of vehicle. I'm not
Mm.
loyal I don't have to have a certain car. I don't have to drive it, the nicest car. I just need a thing to get me from point A to point B. I know it's a reflection as a financial planner, it's a reflection of my business, but if you're going to judge me on that, then don't judge me. You're judging me for the wrong things because you should be looking at how well I'm doing manage my money and yours. That's
Yeah.
not what car I drive.
Well, if you roll
But
up with your Ford Maverick with your jet skis, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Something's going right here. Something's
and
going
I
right here.
I looked, the lease payment on a Ford Maverick was actually in the threes. Now I know it varies on different states. Pricing
Mm.
varies on different states, but yeah, it was like 350 or something, and I was like, "Wow, that's a lot cheaper than I'm paying for my Ford Explorer right
Is it
now."
ultra low mileage?
It was, well, normally I think they're 10,000 miles or
Mm.
something like that. I usually purchase 13.5, but that was when I was closer to the office and I lived in a
Yeah.
high-rise condo and walked everywhere. Now I have to drive everywhere, and it's like 30 minutes to drive everywhere. So I'm just watching that I don't go over by the time I
Yeah.
have to turn it in. And I don't want to have that responsibility anymore. And I do need a trailer hitch, and I would love, even though I can kayak on this lake, I would love to be able to go to other lakes and kayak, and you can't do that. You can't make modifications on a lease car.
Mm.
So it makes buying it. But I also don't want to obligate myself to a 7-year car
Yeah.
payment, so I'll have to really look. The Mavericks aren't as expensive as I thought they were gonna be. So they're in the
That's good to know.
30s. They're in the 30s for a
That's
truck.
wild. Nothing is in the 30s now, so that's like
I was really
mind
surprised,
blowing.
unless I could be looking at the wrong thing. You never know. But I was surprised. I
Looking at
was
a
like mid to high 30s, and I was like, "Wow,
yeah,
that's." But so was my
that is.
Explorer. My Explorer was in the mid 30s.
Mm. The
So
other thing about leasing that I don't know, you might not do research before you do it, is it's really hard to get out of a lease early. It's like nearly impossible to get out of a lease early. You have to
it's
find someone to
impossible.
take over your lease.
Yeah.
So
But
that's another thing.
and then you have to trust that person that they're going to take
Yeah.
care of it and they're going to do all the right things, and
Yeah, yeah.
then is your insurance going to cover them? There's a lot that goes into somebody taking over your lease. If you leave it in your name, I don't know. Can you transfer it out of your name into somebody else's name? I don't know.
I think there's websites where you can go on, and it's almost like instead of somebody looking to buy cars, they're looking to lease, and you can, but you have to get permission from your car
Correct.
company that they'll actually let you do. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. And if you bought it, you just turn around and sell it.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully you can get the value that you owe on it, but you can always get out of that. I guess you could always drop, depending on your reasons, if you could always just drop the car off and say, here's your keys.
For
Have
the
it
lease?
back. Yeah, have it back.
No, they won't
I
let
don't
you.
know. I don't know what you would do.
You are responsible for the number you signed on. You cannot give that thing back, unfortunately.
The longest lease I've ever signed was 2 years.
Mm.
I might consider a 3-year, but the longest I've ever done was 2. What is yours, 3?
3. Yeah, mine's a 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard too, because in my mind, I'm a business owner, so it's obviously a little bit different, right? My income is more in my control than somebody that might be working a 9 to 5. So in 3 years, I expect us to be in a very different place where I'm probably going to turn in and get something more expensive, quote unquote, depending.
Will you still lease?
I don't know. Probably not. Because now my wife bought a new Hyundai, and I think they have like a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Something wild. So
Yeah.
that's a really nice position to be in.
They're nice vehicles, but I'm in the Detroit area, in the big 3. Not sure how well it would go over. We still have that whole issue about Buy American, even though a lot of those cars are built here. So
that's fair. It's fair. So let's say somebody is listening and they're getting ready to go to a dealership in the next couple months. What process, and then we'll get out of here, what process should they do in preparation in terms of what numbers to have? What do they want to have accessible to them in terms of information? And then how do they make sure they leave making the best decision and not get pressured into doing something that's not right for them?
Well, first thing I would do is ask your family and friends for a salesperson in dealership that they trust. That's the big one. And especially as women, you'd still be surprised at how a lot of the male salespeople talk down to us, which is surprising in this day and age that still happens. So find someone that you trust and find someone who is knowledgeable about both the leasing side and the buying side and isn't just trying to sell you on a payment, but trying to educate you. And I think if I'm a new car person, I would probably keep going to different dealerships until I found that relationship that I really liked. And then I would sit down and look at my budget. What can I afford? What would I like to pay, and what's the max I'm willing to pay for a car? And do it. You need all the bells and whistles. My car doesn't have the bells and whistles. It has heated seats. And I think that's it. I think that's the only perk that I ever really got, because in Michigan, you need a heated seat. But I don't get all the bells and whistles. I don't get the navigation. You can plug your phone in now and it comes up on the screen anyway. So you don't need all of those things. So understanding what you want to have and what you're willing to give up to make that car payment or lease payment for what you need. But it has to fit into your budget, and just don't get pressured to make a decision that isn't what you want. Feel free to just get up and walk out the door. You have that right. Until you sign the documents, you have that right.
Sidebar question. Would you, when I got my lease, it was like I got to the final boss. I was in the final room, sign here, and you walk out with it. And they said, do you want the worst. Do you want the paint protection? And I was like, how much is that? And they're like, that's $50 a month. And I was like, I think it's like door ding protection. I said yes on that. And then they said, do you want the wheel and rim protection? And I was like, how much is that? And I think they said it's like another $100 a month. And I was like, what is your advice on that?
Well, those prices seem high because I think the wheel and rim might be for that 3 years, maybe 100 total. I don't think it's 100 a month. So door ding, no, because there's places that you can go and they can pull a door ding out with no problems. So you wouldn't know that. And a lot of times they know that that's going to happen on the leased vehicle. They know it. They expect to have a door ding or two. So it's not like they're going to ding you on it when you return it. The wheel thing, I struggle with that one, be honest with you, because I think tires are expensive.
Yeah.
And if get a flat tire, especially being a female, and a lot of cars don't come with spares anymore. I didn't know that until a friend of mine, her car broke down and she went to go look for her spare and it wasn't there. Yeah. So, so are you going to buy a spare? What are you going to do? I know almost everybody has road service, but when they come out, you don't have a spare. What are they going to do? They can't change their tire.
Right.
So that's true. It may be worth it, the cost of having that. I put it on mine. And when my daughter was taking over my my other Explorer, I had him put it on hers too.
Is there
so that one I think is a good deal. It may be a bad deal. I don't know, but that one's peace of mind for me.
Yeah. Is there an equation? So are you literally thinking to yourself, a new tire is $100? Are you doing the equation in your mind of, is this worth it or not? Okay. Yes. What is that equation?
Well, it's what the new tire is worth. And if there is no spare, I have to go out and buy a spare.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Right. So what is that going to cost? What's the cost of the downtime? I know you have to have someone, they'll come out and get the car. They'll give you a brand new tire, So to me, it just seems worth it. There's a lot that goes into it. And knowing that peace of mind that if something happens, you're going to be taken care of. And I know for a woman, that's all we want is to know that we're going to be taken care of. We like to take care of ourselves. Don't get me wrong, but it'd be nice to know that peace of mind. So it isn't that expensive. I think
mine was because my wheels are very expensive, which is why I was like, oh no.
Okay, so that's $3,600. How much would it cost you if one of your tires going flat? You can fix that. That's like a little pokey thing in the thing, but it's the rims that are expensive.
Yeah, I think it's the rims. I think my tires are probably like $400 each, and then the rims are probably, I don't know, $1,500 a piece, maybe.
So if you needed to get a new tire and rim, that's say $2,000. $2,000. Yeah, I don't know. I might have what you could have done is taken the $100 and put it away in a little savings account if you were disciplined.
Yeah.
I mean, I purchased it potholes. Too. And I've never used it. I've never used it. But I still continue to purchase it. I don't know. That again, that's a tough question. I guess you have to weigh all the factors. But I didn't realize your tires and your rims are for one is $2,000. So
they're not cheap. And that's why, and they hit me with, the New England potholes. It's like, look, I've lived here my whole life.
Nothing worse than Michigan.
Right.
Michigan
right.
potholes.
I'm sure there's potholes everywhere, sir. Why are you trying to? And last thing I would add, just because maybe this probably isn't a common knowledge thing. If you have an all-wheel drive car and one of your tires goes, you're supposed to replace all of them. So just an FYI for anybody, because when you have an all-wheel drive car, all wheels are going. So I've had that before where if you get a flat tire, you're supposed to replace at least the one on the other side too, hypothetically. So
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but I think I'm going to unhear that
Yeah, you can unhear that. Well, there's a difference between four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, I guess. I don't know.
I don't either.
Well,
We might have
unhear
to
it.
get
Unhear it.
car expert to answer those questions.
Yeah. All right. Anything
Yeah.
you want to add before we get out of here? Before I take us
Nope.
all the way off the rails?
You can take us off the rails.
Well,
Thank
I'll
you.
let you do. I'll let you do the outro as you always do.
Oh no, you can do it if you want.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Paycheck with the wonderful Paula. Next week, we're going to be talking about Social Security.
Maybe next week. Not likely.
Maybe
I don't
next
know.
week,
We'll run
maybe
these
not
back
next
week. We probably won't run these back to back.
Well, I will be back in the future, and we're going to talk
How
about
about
Social
that?
Security in the future.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Bye.
for having me, as always. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Of course, always.